All right, 365 days of horsemanship, day 129 and 130. It's actually day 131 today. Things have been super busy getting back into life, but I actually had a really nice session both days. Day 129 was pretty short. It was Linda's again. It was the last day of Linda's, and I came up in the morning. I was able to spend a little time with a very good friend of mine, very intelligent lady, Rachel Evans, who is an equine podiatrist based down Southampton Way. And I just really wanted some advice from her on Lawrence's feet. Long-term history is just super sensitive soles. I kind of committed to the barefoot journey about 6 or 7 years ago with him, and a lot of the sort of conversation around the barefoot journey is that most of the time the horse will work it out themselves. They just need time. And in these 7 years he had all of this time, and I never did much work with him, and so I always thought that was the problem, that I just hadn't really worked him hard enough. But I did all sorts of rehab with him, tried walking him on the roads, doing this, doing that, and it just never got there. His feet never got better. They were always too sensitive, and his soles were always super thin, and he was always really uncomfortable. And so I made the difficult decision sort of a few months ago to shoe him. I had tried the sort of like boots, like kind of sneaker boots, and that had been okay in theory, but the problem was in practice that, obviously your horse's feet grow every day, and so there reaches a point during the sort of 6 weeks between farriers where the boots need to go up a size, and you have to be very careful about making sure that you're checking them every day and this and this and this, and it wasn't going to be practical for me, and so I decided to shoe him, and he seemed really happy immediately. It took away the sort of immediate problem of the bruising of the soles and gave him a little bit of stability, but quite quickly his heels sort of atrophied, and everything, the angles sort of seemed to slide more horizontally towards the floor, which is obviously not what we want. And so I wanted her opinion, and it was really interesting because she talked to me about something that I didn't really know very much about, which is the cartilage at the back of the bulbs of the heels. She was sort of saying that from a podiatry point of view, anything that's happening kind of beyond the sort of midpoint of the foot, so sort of distally towards the toe, sort of that halfway to the toe is really pointless because it's all bone. There's not much you can do with it, but what you can do is affect what happens there by looking at the sort of upper, more proximal end of the hoof. And what she was talking about was the fact that he has a very loose, very poor quality cartilage in the sort of bits of cartilage that run up behind his the bulbs of his frog. She was talking about how that would sort of explain a lot of his symptoms across his life. And we sort of talked about, what we might then be doing, potentially what the sort of going forwards plan is. He's got a little bit of thrush on the one foot, and because he's got this weak cartilage, if you're imagining this is kind of like the frog here, like this, and these are the bulbs. If the cartilage is weak, he's constantly doing this, there's no stability to keep the frog, and so this is sort of causing this rip in the middle of his frog that he's had for years and years. It's also causing some instability in the foot. It's flaking away all the false sole with that movement, so that explains a lot of his problems. So now I'm sort of looking at potentially trying to clear up that crack in the center of his frog now that he's got a little bit of stability from the shoes, packing that probably with some silver on a cotton bud or something similar, and just really clearing that up while it's nice and hot and dry before the autumn comes, and then potentially in the autumn looking at whether or not I might go down a different route with him. So we'll see. I don't know. It's really interesting to kind of see where we're gonna end up with it, to be honest. And so I'd had this talk with her. I didn't really feel that I had that much extra time. I went back up to watch a little bit of Linda's talk, which was really good again, and then I came back down with the intention of seeing Mia. And just as I was walking towards the herd, I was sort of in this position where I could see Mia's herd, Mia and Moondust, and I could see the herd in the middle, and I could see Lawrence's herd. It was really nice because everyone was just sort of sleeping. They'd been fed not that long ago. And I just stopped and I looked and I thought, you know what, this is a really nice place to stop. And I just stopped and just rested with everybody. It was so lovely because I felt like I was part of this big herd, and I felt like I was able to be sort of in flow at a distance with both Mia and Lawrence, and just be with the herd and be a member of the herd. And so that was super nice. A super nice session, really interesting to talk with Rachel about the feet, and then just really nice to just chill out with them, really. Just rest for sort of 5 or 10 minutes. And said, yeah, do you know what? Actually, that was really lovely. I'm probably not going to have a nicer moment than that. That was a really wonderful, opportune moment to come in and rest. And yeah, when it felt right, I just left. Came up yesterday, day 130, with my partner, which was lovely. He hasn't seen Lawrence in quite a while. I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. I sort of had written the session off from a sort of personal horsemanship perspective, because I figured that we would just be hanging out and just, you know, I would relax all of the work I'd been doing. And actually it was really nice because Lawrence straight away was asking Damien to massage here and there, and he was being a bit pushy with him. And so I was teaching Damien about, teaching my partner about how to move if the horse sort of pushes into you, just to kind of take that walk away past their tail, take a little circle, come back again, just to kind of like help Lawrence to understand what's polite for Damien, what's okay for Damien and what's not. And so that was really nice to feel like I could teach him that, and I felt like it went the best it's ever gone with me teaching him things. I definitely am not a super teacher with him. I tend to get frustrated quite quickly, or I feel like I'm like, well, you just have to do it like this, like just like this, not like that, like this, you know. So it was nice because it actually felt like there was quite a nice energy between us while I was explaining these things. And it was also quite nice because I think that there's 2 other horses in that herd, one of whom is very submissive, and so he doesn't really cause much bother. But the other one, Lawrence's friend, who is more dominant, I think he definitely has some irritation or some jealousy that or some concern that I spend a lot of time itching Lawrence and never really itch him, and I think that's quite frustrating for him. And so it was nice because while Damien was with Lawrence, I was able to spend a little bit of time with the other 2 horses and give them a little bit of attention and kind of do a little bit of training around acceptable ways to ask me for attention versus ways that are a little bit ruder, and just walking away from those little pushing of the boundary moments where we're nudging a bit too hard or nibbling a bit too hard or things like that. So it was really nice, actually. It was really nice. It was just a lovely session. Just felt like I was just hanging out, chilling out with the herd, so I was really happy with that. I just popped over to see Mia really quickly because we were kind of running out of time. We'd been so long with Lawrence. So that was it was fine. It was nice. I think I'm definitely in a place at the moment where I'm kind of trying to relieve that pressure on myself, that some days I don't have time for both, and that's okay. And if I spend more time with someone one day, then I might not have time for the other horse that same day, and that I just need to invest some time later on in the week, and that's okay too. I'm really just trying to, you know, I cultivated a lot of relaxation, a lot of kind of zen feelings during my holiday, and I'm just really trying to keep them for as long as I can, because I think it's just such a beautiful, enjoyable way of living life. So I'm really kind of trying to reinforce those habits as much as I can. So yeah, I've just finished a 12.5-hour shift today. So it's just going to be a quick visit today. I need to catch up on this video and just going to check in with everybody, really, just see how everybody is, see where the session takes me. I'm not looking to be here too long, but happy to be here regardless. Yeah, everything's going pretty well.